Well, I got a quick story here. I bought this old Jeep Wrangler, trailered it back to my house, but I had no room for it, so then I brought it down to my land, and it sat under a tarp for quite a few months until I got around to working on it. First thing was working on the fuse link wiring that I didn't know was the issue, but essentially the alternator wasn't working, so I swapped out the alternator for a new one. That wasn't the problem, only to find out that these fuse link wires were the actual issues. And you'll see in these videos here, it's doesn't seem that obvious, but inside that cable, the wires melt, and I didn't even know that was a thing people had before fuses. And cleaned up the terminals real good. And then after that, I tried starting it, which here's a video of it not going so well. It would crank and crank and crank and crank, and nothing would happen. And I would give it throttle, sometimes not throttle. I fiddled with a bunch of stuff, and it just wanted to start, but somehow it wouldn't. Almost getting it, but still not getting it. And I had given up hope at this point. So that led me down the carburetor and fiddling with this thing over and over again. I took it apart a bunch of times, and these stupid little needles here would never set right, and I cleaned out all the jets and checked the floats. I learned so many things about carburetors, and when I would put it back together it wouldn't work right. I fiddled with so many vacuum lines and everything, found out diagrams of how everything is supposed to actually go back together, and all the right adjustments for like how much it engages and disengages with the choke. I never knew carburetors were so complicated, but man did I learn a lot. And I finally, after some tribulations, got it to start. Nothing until I give it some throttle. It seemed to like that. Here's me giving it some throttle. I have to hold it, otherwise it would want to die, but once it warmed up it was much better. As you can see, it's finally starting to idle normally now that it's warm, and this is some progress. The last puzzle piece was actually the timing. Once I advanced the timing, kind of playing it by ear, I didn't really have a timing light or anything, I finally got this thing running. In this video there's no audio, but this is me driving up the hill out of my yard. And eventually I decided, after owning it for some time, I'm just going to sell it because it was just a project car and I put a lot of work into it outside of just these couple snippets. But I'm fairly happy with how it turned out, and after a nice wash it looked pretty nice.